And we are back again. Yes, 5 of us all again. Potty Mouth Garden Club. Thank you so much, everyone. And as you can see there is no JB. We've just been discussing. We think JB is coming into land in Japan very, very soon. So I hope he has a lovely holiday over there. So that'll be fun. So we'll hear all about it when he gets back. 2 weeks away. But Jess, lovely to have you back. Nice to have you.
Yeah.
Now, last time you were on, Jess, we had all communications and we didn't really have much chat and everything's. But hopefully this time.
I did a pre-check of my devices this time, which is the bare minimum of professionalism. But that's what I didn't do last time.
Well, I tell you what, I've started to do, Jess. It's a good thing. I learned somewhere to switch off and switch on me router, because that sometimes it drops out and all that kind of nonsense as well. So switch on, switch off your router, or switch off, switch on your router. So
yeah.
Well, Jess, lovely to have you on again. Audrey, nice to see you here. Nice to see you. So,
great to be here.
Yeah, now there's a smile on your face because you're coming to Blighty. We're here.
I am.
Yes.
Less than 2 months. We are landing.
Doctors give you orders. Eh?
Yes, I can't wait. Can't wait.
That's fab. It's fab. And you want to come to my allotment? Well, everyone's allotment.
I do. It's like allotment tour time. That's what's gonna set the itinerary, because we're gonna try to wiggle in all these allotments all the way around the island. So that's
gonna be.
I think it'll be fabulous.
It's quite, because I guess over there you just have not got allotments, so it'd be nice for even just to come onto them for the first time. I can't wait
to see them. Because I've watched these forever. So the thought that I get to go on it and see the girlies, come on, and Lily the kitty, oh my gosh. And maybe Daisy the dog, who knows? Maybe Daisy will be there.
I had both of them up the allotment today, Audrey. I was filling a raised bed, and it's just pandemonium when the both
I imagine.
It's just unreal.
Well, that puppy, that prince, man, there's no stopping him.
Jess, if you ever want your chickens to kind of scarify your ground, just replace them with 2 Dobermans. Just ran wild across me beds. You know what I mean? It's all just scarified up there.
Oh, I'm sure Hallie would be thrilled with the arrival of 2 Dobermans.
Mark, how are you doing, sir? Nice to have you up there from the borders.
Good, yeah, doing well.
Are you good? Lovely. Anything going on, Mark? Are you?
Oh, non-stop. I just had some time off work last week. Because our leave year is weird. It runs till the end of January and then starts again for a 12-month cycle. So I had some leave that I had to take before the end of the year, because you don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose your days off. So I had a few days off. Got some jobs done. Got some seed sown. So I'm fully on the go now. It's full systems go.
I still haven't sown a single thing, to be honest. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm now wanting to, but now I'm kind of in this kind of build process with a raised bed, so I'll be soon, I guess.
Yeah, nearly. Yeah.
Marcy, it's lovely to have you back on. Yes, getting a bit of a regular. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
Are you good?
I'm good. I actually sowed a few seeds, so that made things feel like it's starting. It's starting.
Sounds like I'm the odd one then, to be honest. So I seen on you were sowing something like sweet peppers as well on your.
Yeah, all the peppers are sown now. All the chilies and the sweet peppers are done, and the aubergines.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to mention just before there, Jess. So when you mentioned the aubergines last year, you had these little thin ones.
Yeah.
Now I've got. I don't know if you can see. Is that them? White Knight?
White Knight, that's the chappies.
That's them then.
Oh, yeah.
So, grown local, there's a little plug, grown local. So, are they easy to grow, Jess, or are they finicky, or?
I've only done them the 1 year, but from that, I would say they're really easy. They just, in a year, we talked enough about how awful last year was in terms of that kind of stuff and the sunshine, but So for context, I had 5 aubergine plants in the greenhouse, and by that stage I'd lost all the labels because they've been like re-sown so many times. 2 quite short plants that I thought weren't doing anything. All of the, what do they call, Black Beauty, you know, the bog standard, like aubergine. I had 2 quite good looking plants of them, didn't get any fruit off them at all. They flowered, but there just wasn't enough time left in the year by the time they'd got to that stage. Thought that the short ones just weren't doing anything, went to move them aside one day, and there was like 9 of the white knights underneath, and they just kept coming from that point. They were,
also you pick them and they're still
coming. Yeah, it was really like, whereas with the big aubergines you tend to just get like one big fruit and you watch it for ages. These kind of come in more kind of clumps, and they just kept coming. And when in a year when we just didn't have that much sunshine, so I don't know whether it was because it was a poor year they did really well, like that's what they prefer, or whether if we had a good year they would just be outrageously prolific.
Well, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket and just going with these ones.
Wow.
How do you tell then with white? Is it the same thing when they're ripe? Is it just like you can just by feel?
Yeah, because you know the black aubergines start black; they don't ripen to black, so it's the same sort of thing. But they've got slightly different texture to the big ones because they're so much skinnier. You don't get that real give. But I'd say they were about sort of the length of your hand when they were ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. You know, that's something
I'm
nice.
disappointed, Tony, you didn't see you putting all your eggplants in one basket there. Nice. You've missed an opportunity there, haven't you?
That went straight over us, that, to be honest. That's good. That's bloody
Remember
good,
that one. Remember that one.
Right,
you can have that one for free.
Just say it now, Tony, and you can edit it back
I know. I'll put all my eggplants in one basket. Mark, have you sown any? What have you sown then? Because again, you're way higher than me, so
no. Well, I have started later, so I have started sowing later. But I've got my chilies are in. My first chili has just popped its head up, so I only sowed them just 7-8 days ago, I think.
Wow.
And I've got one, just a tiny little, it's only about 2 or 3 millimeters, so I mean, it's only just come up. And that's one of the gourmet jalapenos that's just poked its head up. It's the only one that's showing. And I've got the aubergines on there as well, so they're on the heat. But then I've got sweet peas on the go as well. They've not poked their heads. They're down there. I'm looking down there because they're down there.
They're going to say hello now.
Yeah, they're not there yet. But at the weekend, I've done broad beans, I've done spring onions, I've done cabbages, I've done cauliflowers. Is that it?
Wow.
I think
that's a lot.
Is it. I had a bit of a session on Sunday, getting it all going. I was in the zone, so to speak, for sowing seeds. So I've got loads on the go. So they've all come inside to germinate, and then they'll go different places after that.
So your chilies, are they like what temperature you there, Morgan, for your chilies then?
Well, they're on the Garland Super 7.
Right.
That I think it's obviously you don't have a gauge on it to adjust the temperature. It just goes on to what it goes on to, and I think it's about 20-ish. I couldn't tell you exactly off the top of my head, so I have no doubt somebody in the chat will tell me I'm wrong at some point as to what the temperature. Because I know some people do say the Super 7 doesn't get hot enough to germinate chilies. I've never had a jot of bother with it. It's always, whenever I put my chilies on, they've always germinated and come up fine. It looks like they're doing it again this year. So I am actually keen to get them off that, though, because they'll go into the little grow zone with the light and stuff upstairs. Because I want to get my sweet pepper started, because I'm starting to get sweet pepper anxiety, because I've never been this late doing my sweet peppers before. So I want to get them sown as soon as possible. So we'll get the chilies out of there, upstairs under the lights, and then the sweet peppers come in onto the heat that's downstairs. Well, that's the plan anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying for folks. So your Super 7, is that in a warm room? Because like you say, they're not particularly that hot.
Yeah, it's on the kitchen windowsill. So I mean,
all right.
The heating's on. Well, some of it not usually during the day. I mean, I work from home most days, so I'm in the house all day, like during the day. And normally I have the heating on in the morning when I wake up, and then at night if I'm just sort of cutting about the house. But during the day it's not on. But you know, wherever ambient. It's not freezing in here. I mean, I'm in here now, but the heating on it's absolutely fine. And then it's got the Super 7 as well on top of that. So yeah, there seems to be.
Well, it must be then. You must be hitting that kind of, like you say, within 7 days. Just got it dialed in lovely.
I'm not counting my chickens this year. I've only got one showing, so a little way to go. Yeah.
Come on, next week it's still one, and it's still the same size. Because that's exactly what, like with Jess, when we all, like last year, we all got germinated, but then they just seemed to like
just sit.
Stay there.
No, that's the thing. This year, like they are already. So I started them whatever it was on the 1st of or like 3rd of January or something last year, and they sat and did nothing. My chilies are already way past the point that those ones were in April. When they just sat and did nothing, they're already like rocketed past. They've got true leaves. They're
wow,
it's just crazy.
Jess, you weren't here last week, so I asked JB, and he's gone with Silver Grow again because he had. Have you gone with Silver Grow again for the
Not to start my seeds off. No.
All right. Oh, there's a bit of like leaving the camp, leaving the church of Silver Grow.
It does have Silver Grow in it, but last year I did it just pure Silver Grow, and I don't think that's what the problem was. I really don't. But my problem was that because I tend to water from the bottom when the plants are really young, it was stagnating at the bottom and not drawing the moisture up. I really don't think that's what the problem was with the plants just not growing, because in the end I was planting them from every which way and watering them from all over, and it wasn't making a difference. But I think for the way that I water my really young seedlings, it just doesn't draw the compost up. So I've got it mixed with like a John Innes style compost, with a bit of proper soil and vermiculite and that kind of thing, and done a bit more of a mix for it.
And it's working then. Yeah.
It's working. I mean, the chilies are like...
Oh, here we go. The show off.
It's all over again. Oh,
no kidding.
Hell.
They're like already, that's way past where they were like in April last year. It's nuts.
Oh, fab.
Oh, man.
I've got a compost confession to make. I've done mine in compost that isn't Silver Grow as well. So I'm trying... I got 2 different seed composts from the garden centre. I got Westland, which is just a standard one, but it is a seed one, and Rocket Grow. And I did it. It's on my chili video that I did, and I sieved it, like, because if you've had proper seed compost, it's really different. The texture is very, very different. But even sieving it, like the Westland wasn't so bad, but this is. I've tried the Rocket Grow like normal compost, and this is trying the seed compost. And there was blooming stones in it. There was this little red bit of fibrous, like, I don't know about it's rope or whatever that's in it. Just bits of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like 20 litres, and it was £6 or $6.99 for 20 litres.
Wow.
Whereas the Westland was the same price for 40 litres. So the Rocket Grow, not only was it...
I've never heard of Rocket Grow, Mark, to be honest. Who's...
It seems to be in a lot of the garden centres around here. First spot, I think, Jesse and JB, Did you not try
I got given. They're the ones that blocked me in the house. I don't know if you remember. They delivered all the compost. They delivered about. I mean, there was so many bags of it. I thought they were just going to send me like a couple to try, and there was like full size bags, 2 of each type. There was about 15 bags, and the guy piled it up in front of my front door in the alcove, and then nobody could get out of the house. Which was a great start. But actually, I found the compost really, really poor. In the end, I never even used it to mulch. I just chucked it in the allotment behind me that isn't being used. It killed everything it came into contact with.
Oh, so, God, right.
Yeah, it was really poor. But I did speak to them about it afterwards, and apparently they had a real problem, and it was quite possibly just really bad luck that's the ones that I got. Yeah, I don't think that's necessary, because they wouldn't be as successful as they are if it was anything like the stuff that they'd given me. So it can't be. But it kind of put me off a tad, as you would imagine.
Yeah. So is Rocket Grow, Mark, the company name, and then there's different actual...
the company name. So Rocket, and it's GRO. It seems to have worked its way into a lot of the garden centres around here. So my normal garden centre, where I go and get Silver Grow from, there's a lot of Rocket Grow up here and there. And I went to a different garden centre, because I was off last week. I was doing a tour of the garden centres, and I went to a different one, so at the other side of town. there was like Rocket Grow all over there, and I was like, I can't get away from this stuff, so I'm going to have to. Maybe there's a few like nurseries around and about, so I'm thinking about exploring some of the nurseries to see what they've got instead of the garden centres, just to see if there's something different.
Yeah, I did actually.
No, I'll just quickly, Mark. Do you ever get like clover up there, or is that not?
No, I think I've had a few people message us about this. I can't get Levingtons and I can't get clover. So the nearest Levingtons place to me, I looked up on the website, is over towards Glasgow, and it's about, I don't know, 40, 50 minutes drive away, which you're going to spend quite a bit on petrol. I mean, sort of 40, 50 minutes both directions. So yeah, I'm too cheap for that. I am. But there is a good local one up here called Kelpie Compost. Local company, so just deliver around about sort of Edinburgh sort of areas. That's not bad. I've used that a few times. That's half decent.
Right.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Jess?
I was just going to say that I spoke to Melcor, Silver Grow, about what I'd experienced with Rocket Grow, and they were very diplomatic about it. So because they couldn't just like be rude about another company that's in the same kind of sphere as them. But what he told me was that they're a really fantastic company in terms of being a closed loop kind of system. So they're a biofuel company, and they use the what's left over from that to make the compost. But actually, that's actually not a very effective way of making compost, and there's a lot of downsides to it that they haven't quite worked out. Whether or not they have worked it out now, I mean, that was 2-3 years ago. But that they'd started the marketing campaign sort of too early for it to be be really successful. But fantastic if they could get it to work, because that's completely like self-contained, and they're producing their own stuff to make that compost. So that would be brilliant if they've got it right. So I'll be interested to see, Mark, how it actually works out.
How it goes, yeah.
Well, but if Mark's saying he's just bought a bag and it's got bits of plastic in it and bits of red fibre and that.
Yeah, that seems weird. That seems like maybe they've realised that what is in their system isn't any good, and they've tried to get some more stuff in.
Although saying that, my one chili that's germinated is in the Rocket Grow.
So, yeah,
proof's in the pudding.
Might be a secret ingredient, rope.
What?
Or maybe a random seed that's fallen into the compost.
It's not even a chili.
Not be chili. It's like a cauliflower or something.
Maybe a bloody tomato. That would be fab if it was.
What's this?
Wrongs. It was bloody huge. Audrey, Marcy, what's the main one where yous come from? Marcy, I'll go to you first. What's your main compost company?
There's quite a few, but I actually use Pro Mix. It's you can get it in the larger bales.
It's a good brand.
And I was buying it. It's doubled in price in the last probably 2 years. So I was actually just online this morning trying to find the lowest cost supplier because it's just gone up so much. And when you use a lot of it, it gets really expensive. I have used many years ago. I used to use the Miracle Grow, which here in the U.S. can be fighting words for people. There's these two groups of people. It's good. It's bad. And there's good and bad things about every compost, so I don't get into that argument. If you like it and it works for you, go for it. But no, I use Pro Mix primarily because it's readily available at pretty much any store. There's a lot of really good, like the Fox Farm here is really good, but it's probably triple the price of the Pro Mix where I buy it.
Yeah.
The Fox Farms, that's like the Happy Frog and all the other labels. They make a bunch of different types. So I've used theirs. It's a good product too. I just prefer to stick to one, and Pro Mix is it for me. It's got the mycorrhizal fungi and a few other things in it, so
what do you do then, Marcy, with you? Because I know you have your bags, you grow within your bags, so what do you do with your spent compost? Can you not
I'm not of the school of, there's a lot of people who take their containers and dump them every year and start over. I don't have that kind of coin. So I just supplement. I add either compost I've made or, top it off with some of the Pro Mix or something else and mix it in. Use a lot of things like the worm castings. There's a lot of mushroom compost around us, so you can find it readily available in bulk too. So I just top them off, basically, just like you would a no-dig bed or something. Just top off the grow bags, the containers with the planters that I have each year, probably twice a year if I'm honest. So because you do use up the nutrients and things in them pretty quick because I grow a lot of things in a small space. I don't put like one plant here and another one over here. It's gonna get crammed in there.
I'm now going down the opposite path, Marcy, where I'm just like very particular now. I might even go for 3 veg in one bed. You know what I mean? It's just like, it might be like a lucky thing that I got these nice big cabbages, but I'll try it again this year, see if it wasn't like a one trick.
There's certain things I don't cramp, like tomatoes and the things that easily in our area get some disease and things. I give them their space, but I may I underplant with basil or some flowers or something like that. So use that space. Otherwise, so yeah.
Or is that what you use, that Pro Mix there? Because I seen you nodding your head. Is it good stuff?
No, I was just saying Pro Mix, really good stuff.
Okay, cool.
Really good stuff. I don't buy it because I think it's really expensive.
It is.
At least where I am, it's like top drawer. So I usually, for seed starting, I just use Burpee seed starting mix, which is essentially like cocoa core.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Nothing in it except fungus gnats. The only thing in it. So I rehydrate it with boiling water to try to minimize fungus gnat issue. But that's really my seed starting mix. And with compost, I use a combination of potting soils, composted manure, and let's see what else I will add some biotone, which is a slow release fertilizer. Yeah. So that's my potting mix.
Nice.
I use biotone too.
Yeah.
Because of in containers and
it's good.
Yeah. I
Is
started
that like little pellets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would we call that like grow more? Is that like a grow more kind of?
I don't know.
Fertilizer.
I like an all-purpose.
Yeah.
I was thinking it would be more like an Osmocote.
Right.
Yeah, like the stuff you get in compost.
Like slow release pelleted fertilizer that you would mix in, that kind of.
And it has mycorrhizae in it too.
Yeah, so very Osmocote.
It seems like that's the new buzzword for fertilizer, so they all seem to have it added.
You were there, Audrey. You were using that years ago.
I'm like, go, put it in, go. Yeah, one less thing I have to add.
I'm sure I've got some. There.
I've got the same
there
one.
There you go. Well, now you have to use it, Tony.
Got to use it. I've got a brand new bed. I'm going to sprinkle it in this brand new bed.
Okay.
So, I've just noticed in the chat there's David and Mike Richards. They're both Westlands. Now, I've seen Westlands and I've probably used it before, but they're quite fond of that, so pretty good. Probably the best peat. So, I love how we always come back to compost. It's like the bedrock of like the potty mouth, and the topics. It's such it's got such divided opinions, good, bad. Because even
I am thinking about adding peat to my potty mix. Yes, I am.
Oh,
except
she said the P word.
we get Canadian peat.
Yes.
25%.
That's not good.
Crap! Yeah. I haven't bought that early enough.
It's going to cost you.
That's going to cost me. But I think I'm going to add it and see if there's a difference.
Well, honestly, Audrey, I use that like ours at Clover, and it's almost like cheating. To be honest, it's like.
Well, and I feel like if I'm using Canadian peat, it's pretty sustainable. Because oh my God, there's so much peat in Canada. So,
if you really,
but I realize I'm going to be paying extra tariffs.
Yeah,
which I just want to go. No, I won't play those. But you're going to have to.
The cocoa coir, they're starting to say now, is even worse for the environment than handling the peat, because they're actually stealing the natural compost in the coconut grows. And so now they're having to actually add fertilizers, which is worse for the waterways and things. So you can argue any angle of this and feel good.
God, Audrey, you're single-handedly bringing down the country there with all your mixes. Man, right. Anybody keep any plants over? Because I know JB last year kept, and I haven't spoken to him because, like I say, he's a weird, so I'm not sure if he's done it this year or anything. Jess, have you kept anything through the winter?
One. I've tried it before, keeping the chili plants, and I've brought them home here, and they've just died very slowly. But the ones that I decided to say, I try and save an aubergine and a chili up at the allotment. It's in the greenhouse. And we had that sudden real dip of temperatures, which came completely unexpected. I thought it was going to be about -2. It got to like -4.5 inside the greenhouse and killed everything instantly. So they didn't have a slow death this year. They had like an instant wipeout, which I suppose is a bit nicer for them. But yeah, so I had intended to, but they all did.
I'm surprised you even tried an aubergine. I thought they were kind of a fickle thing with the temperatures.
Yeah, I had one that I accidentally overwintered about 4 or 5 years ago, and it just worked brilliantly. I obviously just completely accidentally got the timing and the temperatures and everything perfect, and yeah, it was brilliant. And we had really decently early aubergines, so rather than at the back end of summer, they were kind of like end of August, which was really good. But it was a fluke, I think, because it's never managed to replicate it.
So you got a good crop early and throughout the year, or did it just like...
Yeah, it just kept going. It was brilliant.
Right.
I'd actually saved it because I did Turkish, I think we talked about this last time. I'd done the Turkish aubergines, which are those orange ones, which look a bit like sort of pumpkins. And I thought I was overwintering one of those. Turned out it wasn't. It was just like a Black Beauty or a moneymaker or something like that. And it worked brilliantly. But
I've never done that, to be honest.
I think it's really like you have to just, everything has to just line up perfectly for it to actually work. Yeah.
Audrey, are you dragged anything through the winter this month or this year or not? Or?
Absolutely. I am overwintering hundreds of perennials out in my backyard.
Oh, she's got a bit of... she's all cocky now there.
That's right.
She's coming to the UK. She's full of wit.
So, yeah, that's my contribution to overwintering.
Very sensible.
Yes, I might have even mulched a few of them just to give them a little extra help. But that's as far as that goes. Yes.
I did it once with chilies, and like I say, I dragged them. It is what Jess said there. It's like a slow death. You think you're doing all right, and it's like, come on, and then the last month or so is just like, that's dead. That's not
exactly. Yeah. And what's even worse is if they do start producing leaves in spring, they just start trying to do something and then they die anyway. It just seems like that was really cruel. And the thing where you just scrape a little tiny bit of bark to see if it's green underneath to see if it's still alive. Well, my mum got really keen on doing that, so they were all basically like ring barked, where she had like been scraping them off.
That's probably what killed them.
Yeah.
Not again. Mark, you must have had a bit of experiment up there with them, like freezing cold behind the wall temperatures.
Ish. I would say ish, kind of. So I've got my stuff that grows in the plot all the time. So like the rhubarb, the raspberries, the comfrey, the strawberries that just stay out all the time. Get used and abused, but they still seem to just keep coming back year after year and keep growing, no bother. So I had 2 beds. One bed I had, what did I have in it? Pak choy and mizuna, which are generally pretty good, but like Jess was saying that we got hit with that really, really bad cold spell. And honestly, one day, everything was looking really healthy, really nice, lovely, lush green. The pak choy was a lovely dark green colour. I hadn't harvested any. I was just waiting, ready to harvest. I'd taken nothing. We had two days where the temperatures were down like -6, -7, -8 degrees, like centigrade. And I came back a few days later, and they were just like flat, like splodged in the bed. And I was like, and I had a little bit of hope. I had this little bit of hope. You know, you always think it's just a bit of frost. They'll be fine.
They're gonna come back. They're like...
still now they're in the bed like just flat, dead.
Oh.
And I've got some Japanese onions, some of the senshi ones. And again, I was in that bed at the weekend, and they were brilliant last year. Like the last time I overwintered them, and this year they're looking a bit dodgy. I've still got a hope. I've got a hope for the onions that they might be all right. But
mine
I'm just
look okay. Like I must admit, mine look okay, but I don't think we had the temperatures. Are you inland as well within Scotland? Are you on the coast or inland or?
Well,
I don't want to dox you.
kind of inland, but the River Forth is probably, as the crow flies, a couple of miles. So you can see it from my plot. You can see the River Forth, and you look over to Fife where we've got the Oak Hills, and you see the snow on top of the hills, all beautiful. You can see the Forth rail bridge and the road bridges and stuff like that. It's a lovely setting. But yeah, we're not a million miles away from the water. We're not. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess it's one of the good things about going early and overwintering is that if the sensu don't work out, I've got others. I've got the Bedfordshire champion, the Red Baron on the go. Ian, like a white knight, riding to my rescue. He's got some onion sets that's winging its way to me.
I've left
right
that
now,
box down. Aye, there's a box downstairs.
Yeah, so they'll be here to rescue the failed. If they do fail,
I don't think they will, because I think like they're overwinter. You know what I mean? They're
I'll send you a picture.
All right. Right, they're looking worse than what you. Right. I mean, I'm doing the overwinter ones, trying to get away from the onion white rot, trying to beat that fungal, like to jumpstart that before it like sets in again. But I was talking to one of our neighbours' allotments, and it's like it's been in their garden for years, and I had this kind of dream of, like I say, I built this new bed, just trying to fill it with all new, but it's just like. It's like, honestly, it's so big. It's a littler bed than what came out, but it's thinner wood, so there's more like volume. It's just like ridiculous. You know what I mean?
And it would get in there anyway. Like it, it'd be one season.
That's
and if you've got it elsewhere, it's a losing battle, really. I think. Have you ever tried the watering with onion juice or whatever?
Well, I mean, and
I've never
honestly,
tried it
Jess,
either.
everybody, there's loads of people in the chat say do that or do it with garlic. Garlic, like so get it to like rise up.
Flush. Yeah. But I've never tried it, but I have been told repeatedly that really can help.
Because you've got it as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Have you got it, Mark, or not? Or
no, never had it. Been lucky, and after you just mentioned garlic, I've got the garlic as well that came from Enoch grown local. It's looking brilliant. The garlic looks absolutely smashing. I mean, last year's garlic was a disaster, but this year's looks champion. But I think JB's had it as well before, hasn't he? The white rot. Yeah. I'm sure he's suffered with it, and I'm really really lucky not to have had it, because it just destroys it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's you can't tell from the top, so it looks like the plant's still going, and then when you harvest it, your fingers just go straight through the bulb, like it's just like rot. It's gross. It's really disappointing.
I mean, you wonder how like proper like growers grow it. You know what I mean? Because once it's in, you know what I mean. If you've bought your land and you're using your land for just growing onions, and then all of a sudden you get onion white rot in, you're kind of screwed a little bit. You know what I mean? So, Marcia, have you dragged anything through winter? Like,
perennials outside, but the only thing I've really brought inside are citrus trees, because we get too cold to leave them outside, and these things are monsters. And literally, I have one left with leaves on it right now, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine when I put them back out in the spring. But I've got a dream that some year they won't drop their leaves, that I'll keep them in leaf. But they're blooming like crazy, so wow. Plus, they get just attacked by spider mites inside because it's so dry inside compared to outside. So if we can live through the spider mites and the leaf drop, we get good citrus every year.
Right.
But it's not meant to grow here, so it comes in every year. So
does it produce citrus? Does it give you good? Is it orange? Did you say?
I've got 2 lemons, a lime, and an orange.
Right.
And some little tiny sour one that only 2 people I know will try to consider.
Is it a kumquat?
No, it's it starts with a C. I can't remember the name of it. It's mostly seeds when you actually peel the little guy. So yeah. But yeah, so
how do you physically get? Are they in pots on wheels or something?
They're on pots. I use a dolly that's kind of rigged for pots that it's strapped on basically so that it won't fall off. But yeah, they come in. But the main thing with them is the thorns. They're dangerous. They've got very long thorns on the lime, and it can be brutal. But then again, I bring an agave in every year too, so there's going to be bloodshed. It's just going to happen. So
just close that room off.
Tiny little seedlings I'm hoping to winter over that are carrots and beets and things. And I actually got them through our cold snap. So I'm hoping now I'm on the other side of any negative temperatures anyway. So, but I planted them way too late. I planted them around Halloween and I thought, we're going to have this nice warm winter they're predicting. So, yeah. Well, actually today, I was telling Audrey earlier, our forecast high today is 24. And then in our 10-day forecast, we have 2.5 inches of snow. So it's just like, if we can make it through that, we'll be good. But
when you think we've only got really, February, and then we're kind of getting to March, and springtime's around the corner there, so it's...
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Audrey, do you believe the groundhog, Audrey?
Pardon me?
Do you believe the groundhog?
I know yesterday was Groundhog Day, but I didn't even find out what he saw.
He saw his shadow. 6
So
more
that
weeks.
means 6 more weeks.
I don't believe him. I don't trust him. You guys don't do that. That's a
No.
We have a groundhog. What's his name?
Puxatawny Phil.
And media shows up, and no wonder he sees his shadow and runs away. If he runs away and goes back in, it's 6 more weeks of winter. If he kind of sticks around,
so that means it's not 6 more weeks.
Oh no, he said 6 more weeks.
Okay,
I was just explaining it. To
okay.
So, yeah, I don't trust him.
It doesn't sound enormously trustworthy.
Nothing scientific.
No, it's like rolling the dice. Okay, yeah or no?
To be fair, that's just about as good as any other kind of prediction method we've got.
Right.
So go with it, I suppose.
To be honest, I thought it was just made up for the film. I didn't know he's actually been
it's a thing.
Nonsense.
Oh.
Yeah, the film shows all the thing. Yeah.
So is 6 weeks bad for you then, Marcy? Or
no, I need the time. I need the time. Like I said, I've only really planted onions and some.
Yeah, 6 weeks is mid-March.
So, yeah.
That's standard of winter still. Anyway. Yeah.
Can you hear my dogs there? There's really... Shut up.
They were my neighbors.
Anybody else? Any advice for folks? Jess, I'll come to you first if you don't mind. Any advice for because now we are into sowing seeds, aren't we? Or most of we are. Is there anything for new people, folks? Because I was thinking of one it's what Mark's got that dialed in, that temperature. It's just consistency. Yeah, you might get your bed nice and warm, but if your room's dipping as well, that's going to be a little bit of
I'm trying a slightly different setup this year.
Oh.
Previously, so I've got those plug-in propagator trays, the ones that heat up. There's no temperature control. It's just you heat it up. I haven't used them yet this year. I'll probably start using them when plants get potted on and they just need a little bit of extra heat because I don't find them that hot. I've got one of those heat mats that you have that you can change the temperature on, and I've got it up to 45. That's where it's sitting. It's not actually making it 45 degrees. It's just that seems to be what gets the heat up properly. But I wonder if I can move my camera slightly and I can show you. I've made a tunnel this year, which is slightly different. Sorry about this.
Oh, see something?
Yes.
Look, a road trip. Look at this.
Can you see that tunnel?
Yes.
It's like inside a shelf,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've got the backing that you put behind a radiator. If I can just sit you there, if I move the cat's bed out of the way, she'll be thrilled.
And notice there's a wine glass. Oh, that's not a wine glass.
Here,
I thought it was a wine glass on top. It's a squirty
there's a
bottle.
lot of wine glasses around. I'm hoping none of them are. But yeah, so it's just like this, just like unhooks from the shelf,
Right.
and this is really cheap bubble wrap that's coated in foil that you normally put behind your radiators, you know. And this is working brilliantly. So I've just got the heat mat in there, and then this just keeps all the heat in. And so far, it's working brilliantly. And I've only had to use one set of lights so far. So I've got,
Jess, what's that big plant that's in there?
These are my cucumbers. I've got
Wow.
4 of them.
Look at that.
Look at that. This is JB all
Wowzers.
over again.
They're the cucumbers are coming along really nicely. The I've got my aubergines are kind of sitting around. I've got my onions and stuff in here. It's about to get really crowded because I've got to do potato chitting and stuff. But let me move you back. But yeah, so that's the new setup this year, which is a lot more simple than it has been previous years. I've tried to have like different layers and different levels, and this year I've just you can't even see me now. There we go.
And
This
will
year
that-
I just made that little tunnel and trying to stop drafts, which is one of the major problems that I've got.
Yeah, that's a tip as well, isn't it? Like drafts seem to kind of.
I think you underestimate like how much a draft can really affect them if they've been in that really nice little cozy space, and then
So what happens though, Jess, because it looks like a smallish area, because obviously you're going to start sowing in kind of anger soon.
So what I'm going to do is, you saw that it was on that like shelving rack. I'm going to with those trays that I was saying I haven't used yet, that are a much lower temperature. I'm going to put them on the higher up ones with the foil tunnel, and then as plants get potted on, once they've germinated in the heat, and once they get potted on, they'll go up into there. And I won't need the heat mat for for much longer. It's really just to get those really super early ones done, and then I'll turn the temperature right down, and then it'll be a bit more of like a consistent sort of setup.
And what's your temperature like in your room there now? You know, like your average temperature, is it?
The house is kind of is told to stay at 18, and it goes to 21 twice a day at like 10 in the morning and 6 in the evening or something. It gets pushed up, and that's kind of general. But my office has a really dodgy window, which I've cling filmed over, like double cling filmed this year to try and stop the draft. And it's made a huge difference. So actually this room is so much warmer than last year, which I think's made a big difference.
It's all looking positive, Jess. It's all go. It's all go.
Hopefully.
Audrey, you being the seasoned vet, I wouldn't say a veteran, the seasoned experienced gardener, any little tips for like starting germination, anything like that you can think of?
I would say whatever seed starting you're using, heat it or wet it down with boiling water so that you can.
My mum did that.
Yeah, so you can kill fungus gnats, because I find them to be the most destructive and annoying little buggers in the seed starting room. So that's always one. And if you still find that you have some, cinnamon is what we use on top of the plants. Cinnamon just on the top of the surface of the soil, and that kind of helps also, plus the yellow sticky sheets of death that we put everywhere. But if you can get them at the dirt level, that's even better if you can do that. I also think consistent watering, and whatever your environment is that they're in, the most consistent you can be with that, the little seedlings are happier. They don't like big fluxes. So the more you can just be, the same. I also think running a fan is important on them. Helps build them up to be a little stronger.
That's something I would like to do this year, Audrey. I've never done it, but
it's
just
really
like just trying to.
At what point would you say I bought a fan last year, and but I'm a bit reluctant to kind of set it off. At what sort of stage do you think I should start?
I start it before they even show up.
Oh, so they germinate into that.
They germinate into it.
Okay.
And that's mainly probably out of laziness because I don't have to remember to just set it up later. Yeah. But it doesn't hurt them. And they're used to winds and, well, not winds. I mean, that's like a little, that's almost like you walk by and brush them a little, right?
Yeah.
Which I also think is really good for seedlings. If you go talk to them, I talk to them. I try to rub their little heads while I'm talking. Because I think, anything that'll help that little stem just get a little stronger.
This is where the madness starts, really, isn't it, for gardeners? It's a slow decline.
Well,
from talking to rubbing their heads, the little pretty
I
little
think
ball.
there's worse things in life than to talk to your little seedlings. I don't know. I could be wrong, but and if people think I'm nuts, oh well. It won't be the first time.
Jess, what fan have you got then? Is it like a big thing, or you don't have to?
It's a little chap. It's here. It is this thing.
Right.
It's just, I bought it from a company that makes grow bags, but I don't mean the grow bags that you grow into. I mean like the foil tent.
Grow tent.
Yeah. So I bought it from them. So I think, and it's got a really it's got about 6 settings, so you can have it on really, really, really low. So I think
looks like it's got a nice clamp as well to just put
big
it
old,
anywhere.
Proper.
Good idea.
So yeah, if you think I should just get going with that, Audrey, I will do that this afternoon. I'll set them off.
Yeah.
And Audrey, then just going on from what Jess has said, do you have you blow out your fan on a timer, like 6 in the morning, 11 at night, or is it constant?
Well, considering it's not set up yet for this year, no, it would be on. I think I'd leave that on constant.
So your lights would go off through the night, but you'd still leave your fan on.
Yeah, because they're still needy, those little guys. And I use a box fan, a big one, that I just have a little tilted across the room from them.
Oh, right.
So it's just a nice light little, just gives them movement. Movement. That's all I'm looking for. It's not like a really gusty fan. It's just little bit of movement.
So basically, what you're saying is the money I've saved not switching on the heat in January, I'm going to burn twice as much now in February with a bloody blower.
I hope so. Because your plants will probably be happier for that.
They will. Yeah. Then I've got to sing to them and pat the little heads.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's probably where I'm going wrong, Audrey. Do you know what I mean? Tough love in my world.
As long as we can see the video of it, Tony.
And when you take things up like a month early, always makes me nuts.
Ruthlessness is heartbreaking.
It makes me nuts when he does that.
Get away, bloody.
It's like, one's just dropped its leaf slightly. You're out.
You're out. Actually, I get that from me mum. You know what I mean? I'm quite conservative compared to me mum, who used to do it. You know what I mean? The garden used to be packed up and finished in end of June. You know what I mean? So I think I must have a little bit of a trait with that. But I've definitely got what I haven't got from my mum is tough love. Like they would mollycoddle. You know what I mean? What's the word? Mollycoddle.
Mollycoddle.
Yeah, but I just not let them suffer and let them grow and see how it goes. Do you use fans, Mark? Are you into all that? Or...
Well, I mean, I've got lots of fans, but I don't know if I'd fit them all in the cupboard.
Only fans.
Only fans. You see, I've never used a fan, but I think I might do. I do brush them. I mean, I do brush my plants when they're growing. I give them a bit of a shove and a bit of a sort of knock them about. But I mean, they're going to go from the grow cupboard sort of thing into the greenhouse, then into the polytunnel. So they're never really going to be in a windy environment. They're never going to get hit with anything. But I must admit, there has been the odd occasion when I've been planting plants out, the old fat finger syndrome. I have snapped the odd stem and things like that. And I think, maybe I could use if I use a fan, if I do get stronger plants, then they're going to be more resistant to just, my hand sort of snapping them, as opposed to like the wind or anything like that. So I might look at one of those fans that Jess has got there. I think
I like that. I like the idea of just clip it. That's the you get one with a base. You've got to find somewhere to put the base kind of thing. So yeah, I
might have a look. I'm sure you've got an affiliate link for that, Tony. You put it in.
I'll not, but Jess might have one. We'll all go to Jess's affiliate. She's quickly on Amazon now. There you go.
That brushing of the tops of the plants, though, I never really appreciated how effective that was until growing cosmos. Like, somebody told me to do it years ago when I was making a whole load of cosmos for some show, and they just said, just brush them, and I brushed the ones that were near the door of the greenhouse because they told me to, and I never brushed the ones at the other end because they weren't right in my pathway. And the difference in strength between the two sets of plants was, they were just a whole different thing. The ones that I kind of just brushed my hands over, they were like absolute chonkers. They were really strong, and the other ones were all a bit like, so it was a good indicator that it wasn't an old wives' tale. It's like it really does work.
Listen, I'm getting a fan.
I've been influenced. I've been influenced into getting a fan. I'm getting a fan.
Jess is straight
on Amazon after this. Straight on.
She's a professional Amazon affiliate. You know what I mean? She just suddenly puts it in, and then by the time the conversation's finished, there's 5 already bought on. You know what I mean?
Next week's show and tell. We'll all have a fan and show what we've got.
This is not a fan.
We're just all about hair. We just set them up, and the hair can be like.
Well, speak for yourself, but I'll put a scarf on.
I don't know what your order is, but at the moment it looks like the top row could have wavy hair and the bottom row can just
Mark got the extra strong fan. Chuck it right off.
Chuck it right off. It was on number 6.
Marcy, are you into fans? Do you go that far in the germination?
Yeah, I actually do.
Right.
Actually, the room I'm in has a ceiling fan, and it actually does help. But I also have an oscillating fan that it's just one I had. It's not one I went out and bought for the purpose. But I was like Jesse. I thought it was a bunch of hooey until I did it. I did actually. The first year I did it was with the brushing was with tomato plants, and could not believe how different the stems were on the tomato plants. So yeah, I'm a believer. But also, I think Jesse mentioned this earlier. I'm a big bottom watering is all I do as well. And it's made a huge difference on just plant survival rate. So that would be my only other tip. And to when you talk to them, you got to talk nicely, Tony.
That's maybe where I'm.
Rants.
You can't yell at them.
And play classical music in your seed room.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Hey, well, that's not a problem, Audrey. I'll be a little bit of opera now and
There
again.
you go. I think the plants will love it.
My cucumbers are responding very well to Rammstein, so I suppose
there'll be none of that played in Even the fan, I reckon the fan and touching the plants is like the takeaway from this little conversation. Yes.
And if they don't work out this year, you've got someone to blame. Even better.
Man. Anything else before we shoot off? Because we're getting close to the hour there. Is there any topics anyone's got?
Wow.
Allotment paths. Here's a topic. I'm going to talk about this on a video, right? So I was up last week and I was doing a lot of jobs where you don't film, just jobs that you do around and about, tidying up, getting things. And now that Audrey says she's coming on an allotment tour, it's like the Queen is going to arrive.
Well, that's exactly the way I'm thinking, Mark. Jeez, royalty's coming.
the inspection, little notepads out and things. So, like, I use fresh wood chips on the path, and it's great. And I usually scoop them up, chuck them in the compost. Biggest problem is when they start to wear down, the weeds grow in the wood chips. So the weeds come. So I've got the weed fabric down, wood chips on top, turns into compost, but weeds growing. It's a pain in the backside. Now, I'm quite surprised the wood chip supply that we get, it's running low. And I thought all the trees that were down over the past sort of couple of weeks, I thought there's like millions of wood chips, but there's none. So the pile's disappearing. So I don't know if the guy's not coming anymore or what. But what do people have for allotment paths? What's a good, low maintenance, easy, cheap? I don't need to spend like 700-800 quid on bags of gravel and stuff like that. I just want something low maintenance, easy.
Well, I've got two, Mark. I've got one your way with the membrane down, then the wood chip, which is actually coming to its end now. You get to a certain point where you're thinking there's weeds, a lot of weeds growing here. Then I've got the flagstones on the other side. Now, a lot of the allotments, you're not allowed concrete or flagstones or anything, you know what I mean? Yeah. And when I did it, that little side of it, I stood back and I went, I don't know if I've spoiled the garden. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, there's no soil, you know what I mean? It's just raised beds and flags, and there's a lot of flagstones when I was bringing them all in. But I think that's still, there's no hassle with the flagstones. There's no, like, weeds don't come. The odd one comes, but that's it. But aesthetically and just being like a nice place to be, I'd still yearn for the wood chip. I think the wood chip's just there's a feeling of, it's almost like you're walking on a sponge.
That's nice,
comfort.
Isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? Where even when I'm like, you're kneeling on the flagstones is brutal. Do you know what I mean? It's like hurts your knees and everything like that. But I'm hoping, because do you not just like, if you see, and it took us a while to pull up the courage to ask someone, when you see tree surgeons and I'll go up to them now and say, will you, because you've got to get rid of it.
Yeah. So it's a tree surgeon that normally comes. So over the far side of the allotment there's a bit of grass where people park their cars and stuff.
Right.
So the tree surgeon comes and dumps all the wood chips, and it's great because they don't have to pay to get rid of it then. And all the allotment holders come along and either use it for paths or people chuck it in the compost and stuff like that. But it's dwindled. It's not been restocked for quite a while. So I'm a bit worried. And one of my plot neighbour, John and Evie, over the other side, right, beautiful, like a show plot, and they've got grass paths. So John got a load of turf, like dead cheap, and it looks amazing. It's so smart. You know what you're saying about your flagstones looking maybe it's a bit urban kind of thing, like the grass paths. And he mows it once a month or whatever during the summer and that. But it just looks amazing. You could walk about in your bare feet on that, couldn't you? On the grass paths, that would be lovely.
I'm a big fan of grass paths. All of my paths are grass.
Are they?
Yeah.
So is that turf, or did you put down grass seed, or?
It's a mixture. So there was kind of grass there anyway because it was just like grass, and it just kind of blows in. But then the beds are cut into the grass, so there was kind of bits of whatnot around, and then every sort of spring we just get a load of like sand and grass seed and just chuck it in the areas where it's gone a bit bald. And
some of that again.
Didn't like to say anything, Mark, but I thought you were really,
there's a theme this week. I'm victimised.
I don't know what you're talking about. But the grass paths are really, really. I love it. I don't think.
But surely there must be loads of maintenance with that, though, Jess. That's what puts me off.
Not at all, because there's no such thing as a weed in the grass because you're just mowing it or strimming it. And it takes about, I'd say, I don't know how long it takes me to wander around, but the battery, we've got a big plot. So it's like, 14 rods, the plot. There's a lot of beds, but one charge on the electric tiny little motor strimmer, it's not a big boy, it's a real little chap. One charge, you can do all the edges, you can do everything. And because it's raised beds with just the wood, you just zzz round, you get really crisp, neat edges with really little effort. And it's really good. And any weed seed that goes into it, it grows, but because you're constantly like mowing and trimming, it's a complete irrelevance. Like
And
it doesn't. You don't have to do anything about it.
Would it not go like a little bit mushy if, say, like constant wheelbarrowing or anything like that?
I think
or?
it totally depends what kind of like your natural soil is. Like we've got really sandy soil anyway, so we don't get pooling water at all.
Yeah.
So although it does get a little bit muddy when like the leaves fall on it and stuff, the actual underground, you know, is really sandy. So we don't get. I think probably if you had really clay soil or something, that wouldn't work so well if it was going to start puddling. But yeah.
Well, and Tony, you have that Roomba lawnmower. You could just take that up and let it do it.
Yeah. I could, yes, I could.
You could.
I'll be just. It's the way I'm thinking is like, that'd be more work. But by the way Jess is saying there, the actual work is nothing. You know what I mean? It's just like a quick whiz round. And
now, I think Jesse made a good point there about having a battery strimmer. I think, like, because again, John, my neighbour, he comes in his van and he gets his generator out and starts the generator and he plugs his lawnmower in. But nowadays, you just got a battery-powered strimmer and you're done. Take the battery home and charge it up. You don't have to worry about petrol lawnmowers or plugging something in or anything like that. No. So I'm sensing an experiment coming on. I've got an idea.
So the only thing I would say about the paths, but this is really, really long term, because our main path has been in we've moved the beds have been replaced and such, but the actual path has been in the same spot for probably 30 years now. Because they're raised beds, every little bit of soil that falls out of the raised beds, our paths are now this shape. Whereas we used to always have, do you remember those push mowers, but not just the push mower, the one that had the weighted like wheel on the back that used to flatten the lawn? Like they used to use those a lot at the allotment, like they're always abandoned. But that would have kept it pretty flat, but now they are quite concave. So if you do try and use the push mower on it, it's a bit like, it's like being in a half pipe, like going up there. But it's, I mean, other than that, and you're talking, that's such a slow thing. And if we'd been on it earlier, you can just like chip it away a bit, you know, make it flat again. But
what about, Mark? What about using, like, you know, vintage building bricks? You know, like where you put them on the sides, and it's like a kind of like
it's just the cost. I just want to keep the cost down on it, you know, for doing it. Because I saw Dawn's just saying in the chat there as well, landscaping bark, and I was speaking to Malcolm, who's got one of the plots over to the side from me, and he was saying he was looking at that, but for a ton bag, like around our bit, he was looking about £80 to £100 to get a ton bag delivered. So if you're doing all your paths and stuff like that, the cost you're going to be again £500-600.
I can't remember then, Mark. The first time I did it, I bought it. Actually, my mum bought it for us for my birthday present. It was 3 dumpy bags.
Aye,
and it was just on that one side. And it didn't go. I would have liked another couple, to be honest. You know what I mean? So a dumpy bag doesn't go far, to be honest. You know, when you first see them, you think, well, hey, that'll keep me going. But it didn't. You know what I mean? All
the I can't remember if I mentioned, but the garden centre that we're at, the allotments have been taken over. There's new people in.
Yes.
And they're spending tons and like loads of cash. So all the outside bit where all the plants are for sale and stuff like that, they've put all block paving down. So I might go over and say, you got any spare? You wanna come and just do my plot while you're there? You know, come and do a homer. But
if you could still get the wood chip, would you just keep going with the wood chip, Mark? Or
I think so. As much as it's a pain, right? When the weeds start to grow on it, it's an absolute pain in the backside. But I think I probably would, because it's free. And to be honest, it's good exercise. I've got to get the wheelbarrow. I've got to go all the way, 600, 700, 800 meters over there, fill the barrow, come back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it's good. It's good. It's good to do it, but we need more wood chip.
Could you not consider like asking like another if you see one out and about, tree surgeon?
I just say, can you drop some off? Because
that's how I did it.
They must be inundated at the moment round here. I must.
I'm right at that point now where there's like, especially this year when I've been messing with soil and moving soil and that, there's a lot of, you know what I mean, kind of weeds will be coming through. Marcy, I'm interested in what you do, because you're saying you're on a bank side. So what's your paths in between?
I use mostly wood chip because grass isn't going to fill in nicely. But a word of warning on gravel: don't do it. All of the same issues with wood chip are there with gravel. So you spill things in it, it builds up things, and then you have weeds growing in gravel, and it's very hard to just even pull them from the gravel. We have the house when we bought it had gravel beds everywhere, and I'm slowly working to get the gravel out. And get just regular wood chip in. But we live in a wooded area. It's pretty easy. We also have something called Chip Drop. It's just a website we can go to, put in our address, and if they're working nearby, you have to take what they dump though. So you maybe a large load or things like that. But yeah, so that's convenient here in the States for people. But you just basically take what they get. So it might be treetops, it might be the whole trees. It's just whatever it is. But I use a lot of wood chip because I do as well. It breaks down enough. You just shovel it back in the beds basically and start with a new.
That's what I like about That's what I'm looking forward to. Should I say? It's just being like.
Put the landscape, like the fabric or the barrier underneath. We just used cardboard, and I didn't find much of a difference because there were some areas where we did use the barrier. So I just stuck with cardboard because, again, it's cheaper and we had a lot of space to cover.
Yeah.
But a lot of wood chip. So.
I think that's part of the reason why the grass works well where we are, is that access in terms of like for a lorry or something, there is none. There's nowhere that anything could be dumped. Like we got quite a few allotment sites around us that get like manure dumps and wood chip dumps and that kind of thing. There's nowhere. We're like onto a main road that way and onto a main road that way, and then paths coming in, so you can't get any. And like the idea of having a paved path or bringing up wood or bringing up slabs or whatnot, each one of them has to be wheeled from it's about a 5-minute wheel of a wheelbarrow per one. So bringing up blocks or slabs or anything is just a lot. And the grass is already there and you don't have to replace it, so it's like in that kind of a situation it works well.
Is every allotment just down in your plot grass?
Most of them are. Some of the older plots have got really, really nice paved paths because our main path coming in used to be able to get a fire engine up there. That was like the regulation kind of width, and you could drive a car up into the allotment. But over the last 40 years or so, it's just got narrower and narrower and narrower. And then so there's a graveyard on one side and a school on the other, and they've both had the fences replaced. And each time they have the fences replaced, because they have to cut down the vegetation, they don't go in their land, they go in ours, so that they don't have to go over the roots. And so each time it just gets narrower and narrower. So now you can't get anything delivered. But if the allotment's kind of been looked after for a really long time, they have been able to have things delivered almost to the front. So some of them have got beautiful paths, like slabs and like brickwork and all sorts. But yeah, we don't. But when I was a kid, we had carpet. Like everything was carpeted.
Right.
Like there's a big thing about people being like, why is there all this carpet buried on my new plot? That one. But like in the late 80s, early 90s, it was the thing to have, was carpeted paths.
But speaking of carpet, though, I mean, I know it's quite a controversial subject these days, I think, but artificial turf would be really good for the paths. Your astroturf kind of stuff. I think that that'd be quite expensive for you. I mean,
apart from the fact that it would destroy your soul every time you looked at it.
Yeah, every time you looked at it.
Not a great fan of that, then, Jess.
I'll just take my bald head and go away then.
You would not put AstroTurf down now, I tell you that.
Out my window of my office on either side, I've got my garden, which has got the worst lawn ever, that's just like chewed up by every cat in the area. It's all like, and then on either side, you've got these immaculate plastic lawns on either side of me, and it's like...
An Astro toupee.
Do it. It'd be wonderful. We get the fan on you as well.
And it just slightly blows off a little bit.
Just a bit at the front.
I'm there with you, Mark, man. That's stuck on. So, Mark, just out of curiosity, just from what we've talked about, what would you do, or where are you going to go?
Well, I've got two paths that are between beds at the moment, so they're maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 meters long, the paths, and I've scraped all the old wood chip. It's pretty much turned to compost. So it's all been scraped off, and I've got a big, massive round bed, and I'm just filling it up. I'm just chucking it all in there. But I'm just left with the weed fabric at the moment, and the problem I find with that is it's really slippy. So when it gets wet and you're sort of walking about, it's actually really slippy when you're on top of it. So,
is it the woven one you've got?
It's the plasticky,
like woven.
Yeah, sort of woven plasticky one. Yeah, and it's if you're on it and it's rained or it's icy, then it's lethal. So I don't know. I might try, even just on one of them. I might try some grass. I might put down. It maybe it's a little bit early in the year yet, but another month or two.
I was going to say it's not too long.
Get some grass seed down. Get some fleece on top of it. Give it a bit. Let it grow.
Just to put a spanner in the works, Mark.
Yeah.
What happens when, because your allotment's prone to flooding, as we've seen, like the photographs. What happens to your wood chip? Does it all just float everywhere? Or?
It sort of floats up and then just comes back down.
You imagine putting it all in
today. Yeah.
and it just that. Are you allowed to put concrete in your allotment, Mark? Or like
no, but I do have some flagstones. Actually, I've got a few that are collected up over the years. Nowhere near enough to do a big area though. I'm planning. I've got some 2x2s, the sort of patio sized ones. They're in a stack in the polytunnel, right? And they've been in there for about a year, and I've not moved them because I use it as a seat. I go in there and sit on it. So I've got a plan to do something in that space this year. So I'm going to move them, and I'm thinking about doing a pond. So I might get some pond liner, put the 2x2s in a sort of square around it, pond in the middle, plants around the outside, little wildlife sanctuary bit.
Right.
But don't tell anyone though, because I'll do a video on it. Don't mention that to anyone. Mum's the word,
No one will find out, Mark.
No one will ever know.
You look at this, man. Bloody nearly 1 hour 11 minutes.
Goodness.
Yeah, man. Bloody hell. And Jess is on the gin already. Right then, Jess, where can we find you?
You can find me on Plot 37, so .com, and Jessie at Plot 37 on YouTube and on Patreon.
There we go. Audrey, where can we find you in the UK? Coming soon.
Oh, in the UK, anywhere. England, Scotland, Wales.
Well, we'll all be having to tidy up allotments now.
We're doing everything but Ireland. Ireland and London, we're not doing those. Well, downtown London, we're not doing that one. Where can you find me? Real Food Comes Dirty. YouTube, Instagram.com.
There we go. Mark, sir, where can we find you?
It's Mark's Allotment Plot on YouTube, Patreon, Instagram, and TikTok.
The kids did you, yeah? Marcy, where can we find you? Because you did send us a link to YouTube, but you said there was no videos.
Yes, and I did do the footage for the farm, so I will be getting one put up soon. It started raining here, so I couldn't get the home finished, but it's done for a few days. So,
Right.
But it's Grow Well Together on Instagram and YouTube. So
There you
no
go.
.com.
No
I think I
.com.
have a TikTok, but I don't use it, and I think there's Threads. There's all of those, but I'm not as active on those. I'm active on Instagram and YouTube soon.
Awesome.
Right then, everyone. Thank you, everyone in the live chat turning up. That'd be lovely to see you there. Thank you. Everyone else, look after yourselves. Take good
Bye,
care.
chaps.
To the bit. Bye.
Bye.